That's the whole message of the Bhagavad Gita. And that's your dharma, that's your duty, to protect religion and to protect people. My name is Akrura dasa, and this is a program about child protection in ISKCON. And I would like to start with some verses from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Avyada jongri manimam stava janvatoru yagyo chuta katitatam jataram hayasya hritke shavastva duraisha inastu kantam vishnur bujam mukamurukrama'ishvarakam chakryagrata sahagado harirastu paschat tvat parshvayor danurasi maduha janascha koneshu shanka urugaya uparyu pendras tarkshakshito haladara purusha samantat. These are mantras that gopis composed to protect Krishna after he has killed Putana. And in the Vedic times, mothers used to chant these mantras also with the help of cow dung and urine as purifying agents to protect children from all evil influences and from all dangers. And Srila Prabhupada, in his purport, he recommends that everyone learns these mantras and uses these mantras. So gopis wanted to protect Krishna as a child, and also Srila Prabhupada has instructed his disciples to protect children in Gurukula, to protect children in the families. And there is his famous letter to Arundhati, his disciple, where he is instructing her to dedicate herself to taking care of her child. And I want to read this, what he said. For you, child worship is more important than deity worship. If you cannot spend time with him, then stop the duties of pujari. At least you must take good care of your son until he is 4 years old, and if after that time you are unable anymore to take care of him, then I shall take care. So we can see that Srila Prabhupada cared so much for the children of devotees that even if the parents were not able or willing to take care, then he himself would take responsibility to take care of these children. He considered these children to be Vaikuntha children. He considered the children of devotees to be future leaders. And we see some of these children have become highly Krishna conscious devotees. And we see that some of these children also, they are very much concerned about child protection. We have here a picture of Lord Nishingadev. We put it on purpose because Lord Nishingadev has protected the child. He has protected Prahlad Maharaj, who was 5 years old child. Of course, Prahlad Maharaj was not an ordinary child. He was a very powerful devotee, even 5 years old. But still, so Lord Nishingadev is a sign for all abusers that if you harm a devotee, you will have to deal with Lord Nishingadev, and you will have to get in trouble. So we have Krishna appearing in the form of half man, half lion, specifically to protect devotees, and specifically to protect a devotee who is a child. So I think every abuser who is planning to do any abuse in the future, they should be very much sure that they're going to deal with Lord Nishingadev in one way or the other. And there is also a very important verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, which I also want to read, which speaks about protection of 5 elements in society. And I will just read that verse. And this verse is related to not protecting Draupadi when she was defamed in the assembly of the Kurus, but In the verse, in the commentary, Srila Prabhupada speaks not only about the protection of women, but also protection of children and old men and cows and the brahmanas. So, of course, in our movement, protection of women is also a big issue because there is domestic violence. So this is also related. Sada yitva jata shatroho swamrajyam kitavair hritam gata yitva satora gyaha kacha sparsha kshatayushaha. Purport. In the glorious days, or before the advent of the age of Kali, the brahmanas, the cows, the women, the children, and the old men were properly given protection. We see that also violence against women is also very, very inauspicious activity, and it brings heavy reactions. It is said that it takes a village to raise a child, and to me it means that every member of our movement is actually responsible for the protection of children and for the upbringing of children. And especially it's a responsibility of the parents. The parents have to make sure that children are safe, even if they give them to the school, even if they give them to the boarding school. Nowadays, after so much abuse have happened in ISKCON, I think it's not very wise to put children in boarding schools, because boarding school is an opportunity for abusers to abuse children. Day school is much better because the child is returning home and the child can report if anybody tried to do anything strange to them and if they were mistreated in any way. So, and the child also needs to be educated which touch is safe, which touch is not safe. And I recommend that all parents go through the child protection course, child protection training before they put their child in the Gurukula. I also recommend that parents closely supervise what's happening in the school, that they have a relationship with the teachers, with the principals, that they visit school, that they talk to their child and allow their child to express everything they feel about the school, and that that the child feels completely free to tell anything to their parents about their experience with teachers, with ashram leaders, with caregivers in the school, so that this monitoring has to be there. And this may reduce the risk of abuse. There are more and more devotees who are also getting professional training. Some devotees are psychologists, some devotees are counselors, some devotees are therapists, so they also help the victims. But more and more devotees are concerned because this is a very, very, very difficult problem, and many devotees are parents, and so they are concerned about the safety of their children. There is devotees who provide child protection training, and it can be online or offline. So the parents, I think if they speak English, then they can enroll and they can learn many, many very valuable things. So this information is available. I can provide it myself also. But if you type Child Protection Office ISKCON, you will get their website. My interest in child protection started when I met a lady devotee who had difficulty with her non-devotee husband, and then I saw her child, and I saw actually ISKCON authorities sent us, when I was a temple president in Belgrade Temple, they sent us brochures which give like some basic information and basic education about child protection and child abuse. And they describe the symptoms of a child that is abused. So I noticed that the child of that lady had some of these symptoms, and then I inquired from her, and then she let me know. She wrote me a letter, and she let me know actually that there was something happening with her father. He was doing some strange things, and I became very concerned and alarmed. I tried to find out more, and I tried to help, and I tried to help in some practical ways also. And then she divorced, and then they get help from social workers and from psychologists, and then they were more safe because they also removed themselves from him physically. But this is how I started to learn about it, and then later I found out that actually in ISKCON this is a big problem. And because in the beginning I didn't use internet very much, I didn't have so much information. And then one devotee who is ex-Gurukuli, he was ex-pupil in the devotee school, he created 2 videos which expose child abuse in ISKCON. It's called The Cost of Silence. And these videos were published on YouTube. And they made me really, really aware of the, I would say, dark reality of ISKCON's lack of care for the children, lack of child protection. So then I started to communicate with some devotees who are concerned about this, and some parents. And then 2 years ago, Vedic Inquirer Facebook page was created, which was meant for the healthy social development of ISKCON, and it was meant to deal with different issues in relation to social development. But at the moment, the main focus of this group is child protection, and this is a group of very serious and sincere devotees who are trying to help to improve child protection in ISKCON. And more ex-Gurukulis and the children who were abused in ISKCON schools are joining that group. So now, after 2 years, we have about 2,700 members. So this is a large number of people who has joined this group, and it means that the interest is very big for this issue. We are also trying to influence ISKCON leadership to take more attention, to pay more attention, and to take more care about this issue, and to become more serious about protecting children in ISKCON. Unfortunately, it seems that in our movement there is a culture of leniency towards abusers, and that if the abuser is a friend of a leader, then this person gets very lenient treatment in relation to their abuse. So this has to change. So in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, Yadyada charati shreshtas tatade vetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Whatever a great man does, other people follow, and whatever standards he sets by his exemplary acts, all the world follows, all the world pursues. So if leaders show care for the children and they are strict with abusers, then that will be the standard, that will be the culture. And at the moment, this is not the standard in ISKCON. There is this culture of leniency and protecting the abusers, and sometimes even blaming the victims. So it should be opposite. It should be opposite. One has to be strict with the abusers and protect the victims. So I don't know how this developed and whose idea was originally that one should protect the abusers. This is like even ask any ordinary man, they will understand that child abuse is not good. But it seems that our leaders, who are supposed to be people who have high values, spiritual values, and high levels of compassion, they seem to be so cruel to the abused children, and they're protecting those who need to be disciplined. Yes, there is a misinterpretation of the scriptures, especially Bhagavad Gita verse 930, Apichet Suduracharo, Bhajate Mam Ananyabhak. This verse says that even if sometimes somebody does something abominable, that he should be considered saintly if he is properly situated. So this verse is quoted by our leaders to justify abuse, and that's completely wrong. This is not right. This is an offense to the Bhagavad Gita. So this verse speaks about accidental fall down, not deliberate fall down, and not repeated fall downs. And there is a difference between accidental fall down and Vaishnava Aparad. And abusing children, according to GBC resolution, is Vaishnava Aparad. Abusing women is Vaishnava Aparad. And that is happening, and nobody is taking a decisive action. Leaders are not taking a decisive action. So, like in Mayapur, I heard that women are beaten by their husbands, and everybody knows about it, and nobody is doing anything about it. And I asked some senior leaders, and they say, we are trying with education. I asked some preachers and counselors and therapists, and they say, we are trying to improve the situation by education. But education is not enough. You need the police. You need some shatriyas to come in and say, you can't do that. And people need to be disciplined. They need to be punished also sometimes. So to have a proper society, you need to have all four varnas. And we have brahmanas, vaishyas, and shudras, but kshatriyas are not doing their duty, protecting people from violence and from criminal activities and from abuse. So that this has to change. And it's a shame that in the holy place like Mayapur and Vrindavan, so much abuse was there, and maybe still is there. I asked some devotees, do you think that children are safe now in Mayapur school? And these devotees live in Mayapur, and they said, we are not sure. And especially boarding schools are dangerous, because then, they can do anything with the children. They are just at their mercy. So parents have to be very, very serious, and the whole community has to scream and shout when these things happen, and not try to hide it and keep it within the, within the institution, and make a very nice PR, how we are wonderful people, but internally we are allowing that children are abused. So this is not honest. And I want to say also something about devotees who are quiet, who are not saying anything. I think this is also not fair, and one is not doing his duty as a preacher if he is just quiet and not saying anything about child abuse, doesn't want to discuss child abuse. And the latest situation with one of the former swamis whose activities were discovered and exposed, it also shows what leaders think. It shows what some of our preachers and leaders think. And basically, they are protective about the abuser. And that's shocking. And that's so painful to see. We have Brahmanical bodies like Sabha and Shastric Advisory Council. I believe it's their duty to very strongly point out to the GBC, because they are advisors of the GBC, very strongly to point out that misuse of Apichet Sudarachara verse is an offense to the scriptures and to Srila Prabhupada. And this should be stopped by the Brahmanas. Brahmanas can be gentle, Brahmanas can be educators, but when King Vena stopped sacrifices to the Lord, and when he allowed all kinds of criminal activities to be there in the kingdom, then Brahmanas had to come in and kill him with their mantras. So killing is not a soft activity. Killing is taking away life of the criminal person. So Brahmanas sometimes have to kill. I'm not proposing killing, but I'm proposing much stricter action in this movement for the protection of children and women and any other members of the society who are vulnerable. And if somebody is misusing his position as a leader, misusing the trust of people, misusing his position of a guru, then he cannot be a leader and he cannot be trusted. And the question is he a devotee? Some devotees say that the movement is infiltrated with demoniac people who want to destroy it. And they say that they have concluded this by observing the activities. They mention about Srila Prabhupada's quotes about Kali Chela, the disciples of Kali, who are dressed as devotees. So we see that this is happening. We have people dressed as devotees doing horrible activities. And as recently was discovered, that this ex-Swami, he was doing for years, he was doing these things. So whose responsibility is this? Where are the leaders? Where is the GBCs of Mayapur? What they were doing for so many years? When they allowed this to happen. So someone has to scream and shout, from the rooftops, on the media, everywhere. Devotees say, oh, well, we shouldn't speak about this to the public. It may put off people and it will affect their bhakti. So what if they come and they find out themselves? And now everything is on the internet. Then they tell me, why didn't you tell me what's happening in this movement? You presented everything that is rosy. Everything is, peaches and cream, but it's not. This movement is full of so many horrible activities, and children are in danger, women are in danger. So what are you people doing? You're not following your acharya. So one who is abusing children and women, he is not a follower of Srila Prabhupada, and he doesn't deserve to be the member of this movement. He doesn't deserve to be he should be kicked out of this movement. ISKCON is not a place for criminals. ISKCON is a place for people who want to advance in spiritual life and who want to improve their character. So we need to become very serious about this. Otherwise, this movement will be completely dissolved, and devotees are already leaving. Many sincere devotees are leaving this movement because they don't trust leaders, because of leaders' ways of dealing with sinful and criminal activities of some members. And people are in danger. In the third canto of the Bhagavatam, there are verses that describe that Lord Vishnu protects Brahmanas through Kshatriyas and Kshatriyas through Brahmanas. So Srila Prabhupada says that the king has to make sure that all Varnas are doing their duty. So the king is a Kshatriya, but he is supervising the Brahmanas. But he should be a Raja Rishi, which means Kshatriya who is also Brahmanical, who is also a sage, who is also a saintly person. Therefore, his character is not questionable, and he is neutral and objective in supervising the Brahmanas. He will not misuse his power of kingship to exploit or to torture Brahmanas, but his duty is to make sure that they are doing their duty as Brahmanas. So Brahmanas are also, there is a mutual supervision because Brahmanas and Kshatriyas lead society, and they supervise each other. So they should be honest in this. They should be exemplary themselves, and they should also point out if something is wrong. And Srila Prabhupada says, if you don't point out what is wrong, you are also a criminal. You are also responsible. So it's our duty to point out things. Now, again, there is this thing about aparad, like, oh, you're criticizing a senior devotee. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if one is pointing out things that are adharmic, that are sinful, and that are done by seniors, that this is not Vaishnava Aparad, and this is not against devotional service. This is actually necessary for the correction of wrongdoing in the society and of harming people. So this is a misconception that this is Vaishnava Aparad. And protecting abusers is also an offense. It's not compassion and saintly behavior. It's a strange behavior. It's actually not doing your duty as a kshatriya or as a brahmana, of correcting the wrongdoing and adharmic activities. So Shastra should never be misused and abused. Shastra should be used to make things right, not to support what is wrong. We have this phenomena of, if the abuser is my friend, then I will be very lenient with him, and I will use the scriptures to support my leniency and my support of that person. So that is completely wrong. It's called nepotism. And in the Vedic times, if king's son was a rascal, king would punish him, despite the fact that he is his son. And nepotism means you're lenient with your relatives, with your children, with your friends, with people who maybe give you money and things like that. So sometimes the money is also a consideration that because these people pay us, like for example, if a life member is giving big donations and he's abusing children or abused children, then sometimes leaders may say, well, he's helping so much and, we cannot kick him out or we cannot discipline him. This is completely wrong. You can't do that. This is crazy. This guy, are you selling your soul for money? You will sell your soul for money? You will sell your integrity for money? Is that a devotee? You can do that? It's crazy. This shouldn't be done. Now, another thing that I wanted to mention is prevention. Prevention is better than cure. So, just yesterday I heard an example. One devotee was visiting a temple in New Zealand, and then he saw two young men, Indian men, playing with children during the Sunday feast, the local children. And they were doing all kinds of things and tickling them and touching them. And this devotee was concerned that, what is this? Nobody is actually supervising who is dealing with children. And he was inquiring. And then they say, oh, they're here for last 6 months. And he was thinking that these are like long-time members of the community. That's why they are so close and familiar with children. So this thing is there also, that prevention is better than cure, better we have people who watch who is dealing with children and how they are dealing with children. And if something is strange, somebody has to come in and let them know that they are watched. This is responsibility for children. This is a protection of children. When people know that they are watched, all potential abusers, they know they are watched. And as long as abusers see that ISKCON people are too soft and they're too naive, there will be more and more abuse. So therefore, we need to tighten up, and we need to become more strict with child abuse and women abuse in ISKCON. What can the leaders do right now? First of all, we need to convince our leaders that the whole situation is a mess. They don't seem to be convinced because they are continuing to support abusers and to protect abusers. So they have to stop with that. They have to become strict. And the abusers have to be taken from the position of authority. They have to be stopped to be glorified and worshipped. And one cannot be a guru if he is an abuser. So I don't know. Only Krishna can change these things. We don't have power to replace leaders, but Krishna will replace them. And Krishna will, everybody will get reactions for their sinful activities sooner or later. So they will be exposed, and they're exposing themselves. Leaders who have a strange understanding of Krishna consciousness are being exposed by how they react to abuse publicly, how they explain it to their disciples. And unfortunately, some devotees, they have to admit that my guru is wrong. I thought my guru is a Paramahamsa or he's a Mahabhagavata, but the way he's dealing with child abuse is really not common sense, it's strange. And some devotees are losing faith in their gurus. So to me, all the powerful preachers, all the devotees who are, active in this movement, they have to scream and shout against child abuse, and they have to influence the top leaders and the managers that what is happening. They have to question, what is happening? What is this? Why is this happening? And I heard something that why some leaders are not very strict in reacting to abuse, because they say, oh, if I accuse him, then he is going to reveal my skeletons in my closet, So, it's like two-way blackmail. I don't know if I heard this is happening. So that's also not right. It's not dharmic to do like this. If you have done something wrong, admit it, apologize, correct yourself, and be honest. So honesty is a big issue. There is lack of honesty in our movement from top to bottom. So we have to really, really work on this. Really work on this. A disciple should be honest and should understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness rightly. He should be first honest himself. And if he is honest, then he will understand that my guru is wrong. My guru is wrong. And in Krishna Bhajanamrita by Narahari Saraka Thakur, there are instructions what to do if the guru is fallen. So what does it mean that the guru is fallen? To me, that the guru is fallen doesn't only mean that he is doing adharmic activities, but he is also supporting adharmic activities. So it's important to understand that if guru is not only doing adharmic activities, but also supporting adharmic activities, that this is not right. And then one should not follow such a guru. One should not follow such a guru. And now somebody, the argument that people give is say, oh, are you perfect? Are you perfect? Jesus said, anybody who is not sinful, let them first throw the stone at, what is this, Mary Magdalena? This lady who was a prostitute in the Bible, and nobody dared to throw a stone. So, this is also misuse of the Bible, of the scriptural quote that, okay, because nobody is perfect, that everybody should shut up and nobody should object. But actually, if I'm not perfect and if I'm not reacting to something that is criminal or sinful, I'm getting more bad karma. I'm getting more bad karma. It's my duty. And this will purify me because it will oblige me to be a better example myself. So I should also be ready to be questioned. And if people point out, I should not just defend myself perfectly with a perfect lawyer, but I should be able to admit, to apologize, to make amends, to, compensate. And if we speak about apology is not just saying I'm sorry. If I have offended you, I should ask you, how can I compensate, Prabhu? What can I do? Can I buy you something? Can I give you money? Can I, what do you want me to do? 100 push-ups or, something that is not easy. It's easy to say I'm sorry, but it's not 100% sincere apology. So sincere apology means I'm ready to do some sacrifice for you to show how my relationship with you is important to me and to pay the price. And also what abusers don't do, and which is described in the scriptures, in the story of the Rasa Muni, that Vishnu told the Rasa Muni, only the person you have offended can forgive you. I cannot forgive you. So that's a very important point. So how many abusers have approached the children they abused and asked them for forgiveness and asked them, what can I do for you? So that would be sincere apology. So one big issue with abusers in ISKCON is there is no remorse. And that means something is really, really wrong with them. Like I was giving this example, somehow I heard that serial killers, they don't feel the suffering of their victims. So it reminds me of what's happening in our movement. People feel for the suffering for the abuser, poor abuser, he's going to suffer because he will be punished, and nobody is talking about the victims. They mention, by the way, but actually it's very little. There is almost no concern about the victims. Victims are actually blamed that they are making offenses, that they are charging ISKCON with money and suing ISKCON, so ISKCON had to pay a lot of money. But even after paying so much money, ISKCON leadership is not serious about child abuse. And that needs to change. If we want golden age, we need to have perfect leadership, perfectly exemplary leadership. Humble leaders, but courageous leaders, strong leaders. And one of the most important courages of a leader is that he is able to correct himself. He is humble enough, courageous enough to correct himself and to say, I want to follow Srila Prabhupada as he wants. And then he can be a good instrument, or we can be a good instrument in Srila Prabhupada's hands. So all of us who are pointing out what's wrong and trying to help to protect children, we also have our flaws, and we also need to be ready to be questioned if anybody has complaints about us. Then we have a right also to complain about others or to help to correct things and things like that. To me, that's how God has set up the things. For integrity, for honesty, for being a good example. And you have mentioned Yadyada Charati Shreshtas, very important verse. So this is something that we need to work on very diligently. If someone has done abuse and he wants to apologize, he wants to make amends, he wants to correct himself, devotees say that one can take a humble service, not take a position of leadership, not take a position of being worshipped, not take a position of guru. He can do some service, he can interact with devotees in a humble way, and be very remorseful, ask forgiveness, and ideally contact every person you have abused and try to do something for them. Apologize sincerely, ask forgiveness, ask how he can serve them, things like that. So we have the example of Jagai and Madai, who were washing the ghats and doing humble service after they stopped. And also very important is to stop with sinful activities, not continue with sinful activities. But we have to be very cautious, like any abuser has to be monitored. Any abuser has to be monitored, at least for some time, until people are more sure that they will not do more abuse. This is also important. And then another thing I want to mention is that I think that until the abusers don't see that if I do something in ISKCON, I will not only have to do with ISKCON leaders, who are unfortunately at the moment very lenient to abusers, but I will have to deal with the police, and not corrupted police, but the honest police. And there is a devotee from the US who was actually cooperating with the FBI and the police, and who protected him also, even from devotees. And there is this also horrible phenomena that those who report abuse, those who seek protection, get punished, or sometimes they are threatened. So this is pure criminal activity. This nothing has to do with spiritual life. So therefore, I want to give an example. I just heard it yesterday. There was a class by one Swami where one of the devotees who was present, she's actually a daughter of Surabhi Swami. Surabhi Swami was a Swami who was designing the whole Mayapur city and showing the design plans and the drawings to Srila Prabhupada. And she said that Srila Prabhupada asked him, where is a court and where is a prison? So that means Srila Prabhupada was aware that there will be criminal activities in Mayapur, and that is happening in Mayapur right now, these days. And we see so much child abuse, women abuse. I don't know with money what kind of manipulation is there. So that means Kshatriya institution, Kshatriya activities, a court and the prison. Srila Prabhupada mentioned that. So unfortunately in the material world, this is the reality, and we have to use all this, the whole system that Krishna has given, all varnas, to develop society in a healthy way. So, yeah, this is directly coming from Srila Prabhupada, need for kshatriyas, need for kshatriyas. Just education is not enough. And Brahmanas, I believe, have to be much more forceful. They're too quiet, too soft. with so-called kshatriyas, vaishyas, shudras, or rakshasas, whoever is there, they're too soft. And therefore, abuse is going on. It's continuing. So Brahmanas also are not, I know Brahmanas who are very strong mind, very strong muscles sometimes, but they are too soft. They're too soft. And to me, if the GBC is the ultimate managerial authority, as they say, then they're ultimately responsible for everything. And to me, preachers should shout, like Bhakti Tirtha Swami was shouting, should shout from the Vyasasan, don't abuse children, don't abuse women. Otherwise, you will have to deal with me. This is what they should. They should threaten abusers publicly and not just speak about philosophy and Krishna Lila and all these things. We are speaking about Krishna Lila while our children are being abused. Is that right? Is Prabhupada pleased with that? With this kind of service? So Srila Prabhupada has clearly said that neglect of abuse, ignoring abuse is also criminal. So this has to stop. If Krishna was thinking that saintly behavior means just to be gentle and soft, he wouldn't tell Arjuna to fight. The very Bhagavad Gita and Krishna's instructions are very clear that you have to be strict with wrongdoers. That's the whole message of the Bhagavad Gita. And that's your dharma, that's your duty, to protect religion and to protect people. So the whole battle of Kurukshetra was there so that a saintly king can be established. And unfortunately, like demoniac people, they only understand the language of a raw force. Words they don't care about. You can make many videos, you can do this and that. Of course, we have to speak up. But also there has to be some very decisive practical action to protect people and to discipline and punish the wrongdoers. Otherwise, the nonsense will go on. If we ask what is true humility, does humility means just being soft and being gentle? In the case of Draupadi, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that one should not follow the mild nature of a woman just to be gentle. It was in relation to Ashwatthama. Ashwatthama was supposed to be punished. Draupadi, she said that they shouldn't punish him. He is a son of a Brahmana. And Krishna said that he should be punished, but Krishna was testing Arjuna to see how he would react. So that finally they cut off his hair and the jewel. If one reads the Bhagavad Gita, he can, especially chapter 16, he can clearly discriminate what is divine and what is demoniac. So we have to understand what is divine and what is demoniac. And if we address demoniac people as devotees, that's an offense to other devotees. Yeah, we shouldn't do that. I mean, some devotees are objecting when we call Maharaj, who is an abuser, when we call him Maharaj. So now they stop calling him Maharaj. Sometimes they stop calling him any spiritual name. They call him but by his legal name, his ordinary name. And so those who are behaving in a demoniac way, they cannot be called devotees. And this is an insult to those who are real devotees, or who are trying hard and honestly to be devotees. So what can we do to change the situation and to help to improve child protection and women protection in ISKCON? We have this Vedic Inquirer Facebook group, which is consisted of very serious and sincere devotees who are working hard to improve the situation and to influence leaders and to change this culture of supporting abusers. So you can join that group, but also locally you can form child protection teams and anti-domestic violence teams, and be available. I think everywhere we need teams of devotees to whom those who are harmed, who are violently treated or mistreated, whether it's children or women, that they can go to someone and seek help. Seek help. And ideally, some of these devotees will be very strong muscled and they will be like shatriyas, so that they can go and ask, and deal with those perpetrators. But we need strong protection, physical protection also for devotees, and we need somebody who is not afraid to address this issue, to speak publicly about this issue, to come forward, to step up, and to do our duty to protect these 5 members of society, especially children and women. So you will find sincere devotees everywhere. I am now discovering so many wonderful devotees who are actually very, very seriously concerned, and they are not scared. They are not scared. They are going to fight for this. They are going to fight for the improvement of child and women protection, and also for the upkeep of dharma. Our duty is to preserve dharma by behaving in a dharmic way and by reacting when there is adharma very decisively and very strongly. I have invited all the GBC members. I have sent a letter to all the GBC members to join this group and see what we are doing. We are not offenders. We are not haters. We don't hate anybody. We know the Swamis. We know the Gurus. We know the GBCs. But what they are doing is not right. And, if you're a GBC member and you say, well, I didn't vote for Lokanath to remain a Diksha Guru. Yes, but you're still part of this decision-making body, and you're also responsible, and you're not saying anything. So how do I know that you didn't vote? Because you are not revealing to us or to the general devotees. Not to me, not to me, but to everybody. We are accountable to the devotees. Leaders are accountable to the devotees. So, I don't know that you didn't vote. And even if you didn't vote, what will you do to vote or to change? What will you do to show your fellow GBCs that their voting for him staying as Diksha Guru is not right? Or they are protecting the Bhaktividya Purna, that this is not right. This is hurting devotees. This is adharmic. Everybody has to look at their heart and ask Krishna, what do you want me to do about this? This is a test for everybody. How honest we are and how much we are a follower of Srila Prabhupada. Kishori Mataji from France once came when Srila Prabhupada was talking. It was in India, I think, talking to some life members. She tells this story. There is a YouTube video about this. When Srila Prabhupada saw her, he stopped his meeting with life members who were giving money to ISKCON and just gave her attention. And she told him that her son was abused and that Srila Prabhupada said they should be hanged. Srila Prabhupada said they should be hanged. And also I heard Srila Prabhupada said that those who abuse children should be written off. So now we may say, what does that mean, written off? At least we can understand they should be dealt more strictly than they do. They should be dealt more strictly than they do. And our leaders should stop protecting their friends who are abusers. They should stop defending them. They should stop being lenient with them. This is harming our movement. This kind of partiality or bias, this has to stop. This is not dharmic. This is not right. I want to say something for the end. I want to express my gratitude to the sincere devotees in the Vedic Inquirer group, especially Sanakarishi Prabhu, Saraswati, and Damodar Prabhu. And now we see that more senior devotees are coming on board and becoming more active. And to me, associating with them is very inspiring. And I think they're taking the trouble to bring about reform or transformation in our movement and to bring it closer to what Srila Prabhupada wanted it to be a movement of honest devotees, who are following his instructions, following Vedic way of life, and who are very protective about children, about women, who are protective about people, who like to preach. So association with them gives me inspiration and encouragement to do my service of life coaching, Gita coaching also, and devotee care. They have shown a lot of good qualities in trying to bring about this change. For example, they're very balanced and very bold, but at the same time very respectful. This is what I appreciate very much about them. They're fighting in the mode of goodness. They're not fighting in the mode of ignorance and passion. And this is what I would like to also imbibe these qualities. My name is Akrura Das, and on Facebook, my Facebook is Gita Seva, and I do service of devotee care, which is called Gita coaching, for the past 20 years. I have been in ISKCON for 40 years, and I translated Srila Prabhupada's books for 6 years into Serbo-Croat language, and I have joined this Vedic Inquirer Facebook group, which is dealing with child protection improvement, about 2 years ago, I think. So if you want to contact me and discuss these things, or you want me to assist you to somehow get involved, you can contact me on my Facebook page, which is called Gita Seva, 2 words, Gita Seva. And also my email is gitaseva108@gmail.com. I also have a blog called Gita Seva. I also have an Instagram and Twitter account, but the best is to contact me through Facebook or my email, and then I will also give you my WhatsApp number. And also you can become a member of the Vedic Inquirer group. You can contact Damodar Prabhu, Saraswati, Richardson Jones, and Sanakarishi Prabhus. Please help us with this effort. It's a duty of all of us to improve the child protection and women protection in our movement. And in this way, I think we can please Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. And we want, with all this effort, we want to bring our movement back to following strictly Srila Prabhupada's instructions, because he's our guide, he's our doctor, he's our therapist, he's our Maha coach, and he's the person who was sent by Krishna to actually save us and bring us back to Godhead. I once asked one senior devotee, what do you tell people when they ask you, what is the proof that God loves us? And he said, he sent us Srila Prabhupada. So all we are doing is actually to help people to get guidance and protection of Srila Prabhupada. And his sincere followers, Srila Prabhupada said, even if Guru is not Mahabhagavata, and if he follows strictly, then he can be a Guru. So those Srila Prabhupada's disciples who are his genuine followers and sincere followers, they are also our guides. They're also our guides. But Srila Prabhupada is our main Shiksha Guru, and there were papers written about that by the GBC. So putting Srila Prabhupada in the center is also one of the principles of the GBC. And we need shelter of Srila Prabhupada. We need shelter of his Vani. So people think that money is the honey, and we say that Vani is the honey. So please join us in the Vedic Inquirer group, and please contact us if you want to help in any way you can, and if you want to get involved.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.